Alright guys, this is my first Q&A video. I'm calling this series Ask MCas, where you guys get to ask me random questions and I answer, because I feel like I'm always making these videos, but you guys only get to see me sing, and you never get to hear me talk, and I'm really good at talking. So here we go with question 1. Alright, our first question comes from Tabitha Catherine K on Twitter, and it is, do you have a survival plan for a zombie apocalypse? Well, that's a great question, and I've seen every episode of The Walking Dead, and I feel like they do a pretty good job, but there's a couple things when they do that I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So like, first of all, your clothing, like, you know things are trying to bite you. You want to be well protected, and sometimes I see them wearing like a t-shirt and like a tank top. Are you kidding me right now? You're going to wear a tank top and things trying to bite your arms and you're just wide open? This is what I would do. It's very simple. It's common knowledge. You want to wear double long sleeve shirts. They're not easy to bite through. If you ever try to bite through a long sleeve shirt, it's not that easy. So you double up just to be safe. You want your heavy duty gloves. You want to be sealed off everywhere, so you duct tape all the weak spots, like around your wrist here. You want to duct tape that. Around your ankles the same. A lot of people getting bit in the neck. You got carotid arteries here, zombies. Love that stuff. So maybe wear a turtleneck, so it's minimum chafing. Then you duct tape around it for extra security. And that, I feel like if you do that, you'll be pretty safe. But then also, another good thing to do was, like I saw on Zombieland, they had the list of rules. So it's like, if you're ever in a situation you're like, wait, I killed this zombie, should I double tap the zombie? And then you look through your rules, you're like, double tap zombie, that's a rule, I'll do that. And so I feel like if you do a combination of the rules and, you know, sealing off your body, then you have a good chance of survival. Next. Alright, our next question comes from Hot Darn UMS from Twitter. I don't say the D word, so I switch it to darn, but we'll get to that later. The question is, if you could have one actor play you in a movie about your life, who would it be? Well, regardless of what the movie's about, I feel like just based on resemblance, I would have to go with Brad Pitt, because I feel like all the time I'm going out, I'm going to the bakery, I'm going to the gas station, you know, wherever, and people always come up to me on the streets in real life, and they're like, hey, are you Brad Pitt from the movie Troy? And I'm like, I'm not, but like, I see it, I get what you're saying, like the body and then the face. So I totally get where you come from, but I'm actually Michael Castro. I'm a singer, and then I gotta explain it all. So like, just because we look so similar, I would have to go with Brad Pitt. That's really the only option. Great question. Next question. Alright, so this next question comes from Nikki Mae Cruz, and it is, would you ever vampire bite a girl? And I don't know exactly what you mean by vampire bite. Does that mean like just maybe like a playful bite, like maybe in sort of a romantic way, or does that mean like I really am trying to suck out her blood? But either way, I'm gonna go with no, because like we just talked about the whole, you know, the zombie thing, so it's a really sensitive area for me right now, because what if you go in, you're trying to be all playful and whatever, and then you go for it, and then all of a sudden you got this gusher and you're like, oh no, what do I do about it? That's gonna kill the vibe right there. So if you were thinking like, oh, this might be romantic, and then all of a sudden she's dying, then, I mean, you can see what the problem is. So I'm going to play it safe on this one. I'm just going to say, hey, there's going to be no vampire bites tonight. That's what I was saying. Alright, so this next question comes from Pizza Grimmy on Twitter, and it is, did you ever eat toothpaste? It's in all caps, so you got to yell it. And I did eat toothpaste once. It was back when I was just a young rook, like many of you are now, just a young rook, and it was like probably the first time I ever drank alcohol, and I was like, this is so cool. I'm like, it's like I'm in the movies where all the kids do it. And so like I was all drinking like, so like I had no idea like what was too much alcohol, what was a good amount of alcohol. I was just like, yes, give me 10 of that and then 13 of that. This is amazing. And it was amazing, and at one point I got sick, and this is the only time I've ever thrown up from drinking. One time, that's it. I guess I learned my lesson. All I remember is like I was in the shower, like hovering over the drain, and I was like, oh, I gotta throw up because my body wants to throw up, but I'm terrible at throwing up because I hate it. So like, what's gonna make me throw up? Maybe if I eat toothpaste. So like I grabbed this toothpaste, I put it on my finger, I go like this, and like as soon as it touched my tongue, I was like, everywhere. And that's the only time I've ever tried to eat toothpaste. Alright, the next question comes from Dale Nail on Twitter, and it is, what do you look like without glasses? It's in all caps again. And also people are always like, what do you look like without a beanie? And all this stuff. So I'm just going to show you. Here it is. And there you have it. The mystery is all gone. Alright, this next one comes from YesNo11 on Twitter, and it is, if you could be any Pokemon, which one would you be? This is such a great question because Pokemon was such a huge part of my life growing up. And it's like, I mean, I haven't played, like, probably the last time I played was like when Diamond and those came out. So I don't know all the Pokemon now. There's probably like 10,000 by now. But the thing is, like, at first I was thinking like maybe a Dragonite, maybe a Gyarados, maybe like one of the legendary birds like Zapdos, Articuno, because Articuno, how dope is that name? Everyone knows it's legit. No one's going to question it. But then I got thinking, I was like, no, it's got to be Mewtwo, because back then, I don't know how it is now, but the only way to get a Mewtwo then, you had to have a Game Shark. And it's like, so you had to be hacking. I'm all about hacking. I love hacking. Love it. I'm always putting in codes and everything. I'm like, how do I hack this? How do I hack that? And Mewtwo, he has no restrictions. Like, he can learn Fly, and he can learn Cut, and he can learn Hydro Pump, he can learn Dig. Like, he has no restrictions. He's just unlimited. He's Mewtwo. He's the boss. He can do whatever he wants. He can learn the psychic stuff. And so I feel like he's a lot like me, and I can relate to him. So definitely if I could be one Pokemon, Mewtwo, 100%. Alright, next question comes from @MissyCLRS, and it is, what's your favorite curse word? What sound do you find most annoying? Well, any repetitive sound is annoying. Just pretty much pick anything that happens more than 2 or 3 times, that's annoying. But curse word, I actually, and this is a fact of life, have never once in my life said a curse word. And people don't believe me all the time. They're like, no, I totally, one time, I heard you say that one word. I'm like, oh, really, what I say? And they're like, oh, you said that's totally legit as balls. I'm like, that's not a curse word. And so, like, people, nobody, myself included, has ever heard me say a curse word. And so that's just fact. And now we all know it. Let it show it. What? The next question comes from Sophie T. Simmons on Twitter, who happens to be a real-life friend of mine, who asked this very sarcastically. How did you get so fly? Well, I'm going to tell you, like I tell everyone else, it takes a lot of protein, got to hit the gym, and then you have to tweet very often, and you have to convince people, like, hey, the things that I say, they make sense even when they don't, and that's how you get fly, I think. Next question comes from Ian Harris on Facebook. Why isn't the number 11 pronounced 1T1? Well, Ian, that makes no sense, because the number 2 might be pronounced 1T1, but I think what you're thinking is, why isn't it pronounced 10T1, like 21, 10T1? But I, for one, like that all the 10s have their own sounds. It's like, oh, 10, 11, 12, 13, like, I like how it goes, and how at 3 it gets to the teens, 14, 15, 16, 17, and it's like, so, because I feel like it correlates with age, because by the time you get to 13, you think you're amazing. But before that, when you're 10 and 11, 12, you don't really think you're that amazing. But at 13, you become a teenager, and everything changes. And I think that's why. Alright, the next question is off Twitter from the Matt Bosse. Do you have a girlfriend? If yes, what is her name? I do not. I actually have only had one official girlfriend in my life, and we dated for a really long time, and then we broke up, and I've been single for a really long time. But I was actually hanging out with this girl the other day, and it was going really well, and I got this feeling in my stomach, and I was like, is this butterflies? Is that what it's all about? I don't know. It's been so long, and it turned out just to be gas. But I had a really good time with her, so you never know. Like, we'll see. Alright guys, that's it for today. I feel like this was a huge success for all of us. So be thinking of new questions. Let's do this again in the future. I'm out.